let her tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You can hear with some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you, from national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Yes, hi to our Sabrina Speaks family, tuning in from near and definitely from far. It's good to be back with you this evening, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. I'm your host, Sabrina, and it's good to be back with you, bringing you another episode right here, informing, definitely engaging episode of Sabrina Speaks. And if you're new, welcome. I see you. Thank you for subscribing. And please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We love to have you, and it's welcome. We are brought to you every Monday to Friday from 5 until 7 right here on cmrtv.com. Well, what do you know? Valentine's is this Saturday. And listen. I'm not here to sell you roses or even fairy tales this evening. I'm here to talk about the real experience of the season. Because for some people, this weekend is butterflies and romance. And for others, it's anxiety, loneliness, disappointment, or even possibly danger. Because in this episode, of course, with your feedback and your welcomed participation, I want to break down the good, the bad, and even the ugly of Valentine's Day, but our style. You know how we do it here on Sabrina Speaks. But the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and participants, is intended solely for general, informational, and entertainment purposes. It's not a substitute for professional legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability for any decisions or actions taken in reliance on the information presented. And for those, again, the number to join in and be a part of the conversation, or if you may want to just send me a WhatsApp, 345-936-8255 is the number to call. Like I said, it's good to be back with you, and for all the plans that are making up for this weekend, you got to know what the weather is like. Thanks to our friends and family over there, the Cayman Islands National Weather Service. Here's the forecast for tonight and even a sneak peek into the weekend. The synopsis calls for moderate winds and seas are expected over the Cayman area for the next 24 hours in association with a ridge of high pressure system over the Northwest Caribbean. Now, satellite imagery shows few clouds across the Northwest Caribbean. The forecast for tonight calls for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall near the low 70s. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. The forecast for tomorrow calls for partly cloudy skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will rise to the low 80s. Winds will be northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Now, there's going to be a high tide at 6:42 this evening, a low tide at 1:17 a.m., and another high at 8:11 tomorrow morning. Sun will set this evening at 6:23, and sun will rise tomorrow morning at 6:55. The outlook is for continued moderate winds and seas through Sunday. See, I told you. So if you're planning all of those weekends festivities, yeah, there you have it. That gives you somewhat of a sneak peek into what's in store for us. But now that we've taken a look at our weather, let's turn our eyes to the stories that are definitely shaping our world. And here are the top headlines making news this evening right here on Sabrina Speaks. Now, the Cayman Islands government has released a summary of its February 4th cabinet meeting, highlighting several key developments. Cabinet approved the litter amendment bill and gave the green light to begin drafting the country's first ever housing act. Also approved were amendments to the mutual funds, private funds, and virtual asset service providers bills, all ahead of Parliament for review. The meeting also noted progress on the national EID cards policy, part of government's push for modernization and transparency. The Cayman Islands Prison Service has announced a major upgrade on how families connect with their loved ones behind bars. All virtual visits will now be done through Microsoft Teams, a move aimed at improving security, accessibility, and reliability. How it works. You'll receive a secure link for your scheduled visit. Just click the link at the appointed time and no Microsoft Teams account required. If you have the app, the meeting will open automatically. If not, simply enter your name to join, subject to approval. Now, this system is all about keeping families connected, even across prison walls. His Majesty Cayman Islands Prison Service emphasizes that strong family ties are essential to rehabilitation and emotional well-being, and this transition is a step forward in supporting that mission. In other local news, the Cayman Islands government is taking a major step towards safer roads. The Minister of Planning, Agriculture, Housing, and Infrastructure has launched a request for proposals to design a new integrated traffic management and enforcement system. Now, this system will lay the groundwork for fair, transparent, and modern traffic enforcement, including automated tools to help reduce speeding and improve road safety. Official says it's not about revenue, it's about saving lives. The RFP is now available on government's Bonfire portal. Let's turning our attention now over to regional news. Barbados has made history again. Prime Minister Mia Mottley and the Barbados Labour Party have secured a third consecutive clean sweep, winning all 30 seats in their House of Assembly in Wednesday's general election. This marks Mottley's third term and her third 30-0 victory, making her only the second Caribbean leader to achieve such a feat. The opposition Democratic Party failed to win a single seat, with the party leader, Ralph Thorne, calling the results disappointing. In other regional news making headlines today, Jamaica officially opens its 2026 legislative year today with the ceremonial opening of Parliament at Gordon House in Kingston. Governor General Sir Patrick Allen delivered the throne speech at a joint sitting, outlining the government's legislative and spending agenda for the year ahead. Now, the event featured the traditional guard of honor for the formal arrival of state officials and dignitaries. Following the speech, the House of Representatives convened to table the 2026-2027 estimates of expenditure. Now, two Navy ships collided in the Caribbean Sea during a refueling operation at sea. The guided missile destroyer USS Truxtun and the fast combat ship USNS Supply made contact while transferring supplies on Wednesday. U.S. Southern Command confirmed 2 sailors sustained minor injuries and are in stable condition. Now, both vessels remain operational and the incident is under investigation. The collision occurred amid heightening U.S. naval presence in the region, part of ongoing anti-narcotics operations. In other international news, U.S. President Donald Trump has revoked a landmark environmental ruling that classified greenhouse gas as a threat to public health. The 2009 endangerment findings served as the legal foundation for federal climate regulations, including emission limits on vehicles and power plants. Its repeal marks the most sweeping rollback of U.S. climate policy to date. The White House says that the move will reduce costs for automakers, but environmental groups are preparing legal challenges, calling it a dangerous step backward. Yes, and in the spirit of love this Valentine's weekend, here's a story to warm your heart. After 50 years apart, high school sweethearts from Atlanta, Georgia have reunited, and they are getting married this spring. The couple, both in their 70s, reconnected through a mutual friend and say their love picked up right where it left off. Now they're calling it a second chance at forever, proving that love has no expiration date. And sometimes the heart really does remember. And that's a wrap of the stories making headlines this evening on Sabrina Speaks. From local development and global updates, we're keeping you informed, engaged, and definitely connected. I want to send happy birthday greetings out to anybody and everybody who's celebrating a birthday today. You could be celebrating a wedding anniversary or just celebrating life. From all of us here on Sabrina Speaks, happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy life, happy whatever. It's good to be back with you from all of us. Now, if you're just tuning in, 345-936-8255 is the number to call to join in on the conversation. Marshall is first here to comment this evening. Always good to have you. Good evening to you. How are you? Hello from VAR, Harry. Oh, yes, I know you, the UK Passy. I haven't heard from my Australian crew for a little while, but I think they're lurking in the background. All of our friends and family over there, even in Australia. Yes, it's good to have you all here. Hello. Yes. YouTube. That's it. No, not on TV. Not yet. Damien Henry, it's good to have you in the house. How are you? That will be known, Harry Brandon, shortly. But again, there are 30 seats. She's going to appoint her cabinet. Friday, by the way, Harry, thank you for asking that. Friday has been declared a public holiday in Barbados. So kudos to them. They know how to throw it down. But we're going to keep you updated. Don't worry. I'll break it down for you. I stayed up until, I would say, 2. I watched it live on different platforms, and it was good to see the political analyst hearing it from different perspectives and kind of having an idea how it works here. And I didn't realize, just to digress for a second and involving you guys in the conversation, I didn't realize that their elections law didn't allow them to really have trinkets like T-shirts and hats and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, right. It's actually in the law that it's not allowed. Interesting. But you know what? Kudos to them. Congratulations. She's done it. She's a powerhouse, loved by the world. Congratulations to her. And we'll definitely be following it in the days to come. And I'll definitely keep you updated here. We know we have a large amount of persons from Barbados that have made Cayman their home. And, we're connected. Remember, we're voices of the islands and conversations for the world. We're not limiting ourselves to the 345 here. All are welcome. We know this because people contact me from all over the world. And I thank you. Thank you for coming and tuning in and also participating pretty much every episode. It's good to have you all here. So Harry, we'll keep you locked on that. Connie Bonnie is in the house. How you doing? Hair Cherry, good to have you join us. Are you here for love? Or are you here for reality? I want to hear why you all are here. Jim never stops with giving me the roses. And Connie still haven't upgraded. She still gets the hibiscus. But you know what? It's the thought that counts. It's good to have you all here. And this is what this platform is all for. You know why I'm doing this topic now, because tomorrow is open mic. And I don't want to pretty much dominate every day. I've given you guys my word that Fridays will be open mic Fridays. I turn it over to you. We can definitely go whatever direction you want with your conversation, your feedback, your participation. But of course, we do the housekeeping at the beginning, which pretty much I've locked it down now to 15 minutes. So not bad for giving you headline news, weather, and all that good stuff, and still appreciating all of you who show up here all the time for Sabrina Speaks, where we just keep it real. Hey, thank you. No, I will not. I'm taken. But thanks. Does something. You don't even know me. What a mess. This is what I love with this place. Hey, good evening to you, Clean and Straight. Welcome to the house. It is good. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. See, even Connie is saying thanks, Jimbo, and sending you lots of love. You're here for the love. You're here for the ideas, Connie Bonnie. I'm hearing you're going to be out. You're definitely going to just let your hair down this weekend. You know what? For whatever you're here, whatever reason you're here, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for your participation. And lots and lots of respect. It is good to be back. CE Banks is in the house as well. Loving all of you. But for those of you just tuning in, you may have missed a flyer. This episode this evening is Love, Pressure, and Reality. And the truth really about Valentine's Day, we're not putting the X on it at all. But for some, it's really, really, really not what the day was intended for. And it comes with a lot of pressure. And we've seen it. I've personally seen it. And I mean, I invite you to share your stories. What does love mean to you? And how you, if you want to share with us how you normally plan your day, or what are your expectations from your significant other? Or if you have passed that phase in your life, what's it like? Do you feel it should stop after a certain age, or after a certain amount of years with a particular party that you don't necessarily emphasize on the day, and that it should be shown every day? But I mean, this is a day that is marked to celebrate it, right? And whatever you so choose, it would be good to get your feedback on it. How you actually look at this day. Now, you would get both sides of the coin, even when persons talk about Christmas, that it's been highly commercialized and everything is about the gifts and all that sort of stuff. I've seen it in many organizations, a number of places that I've worked, where the day comes with its pressure. And in certain organizations, it has been alleged that persons have even gone as far as buying bouquets for themselves just to fit in. And we know how the office environment, based on the environment that you may be in, how it could look. Everybody's getting beautiful bouquets and arrangements, and then maybe you're the only one without any. The pressure is real, and some will receive multiple. Yeah, that one is interesting. I wonder what Alfred got to say about that. Some will receive multiple. And for some guys, not beating up on it, they dread for this day because they got to dig deep, having multiple persons to send to. But you know what? It's good. It's good as in a sense that we're here and we're all adults, mature. We can have this conversation and look at it in an unbiased way, but real as well, because in many cases, it can mess with your psyche. It can mess with you mentally. And for example, a person could be at a place in their life where I'm over the roses. I would just prefer to spend time with you. But then somewhere in the back of your mind, you're like, I should take the roses because I don't know if there's a second, third, or fourth wheel and they're going to be getting it and I'm giving them a free ride. No woman's going to tell me that didn't cross their mind sometimes. I'm just being nice. We may be working on a project or something, or we're planning a trip. And I'll be like, we can skip Valentine's this year. Because we got something coming up. And then somewhere in the back of your mind, you're like, but I wonder if the mere fact that you have to go there tells me you got other issues. That's my opinion. But to say it never crossed your mind, it's going to be interesting. But even from small island development states, the pressure can be high. Everybody knows one another. And like the idea that the scenario that I shared with you in certain environments, it could bring a lot of pressure as early as tomorrow. Maybe some bouquets have started being delivered today. And because of the high demand in delivery services. But definitely tomorrow is the day for delivery at work that could possibly spill into Monday. And that's going to be very interesting. So for all of you who's, forget it, let me remind you, Valentine's Day is this Saturday. And like I said, for some, you could be nervous, butterflies, roses, chocolates, romance. And for others, it's anxiety. For some, it could even be loneliness. But I invite you to join in and participate in this discussion because we're just going to bring it straight with you, and we're going to just have a real conversation with you. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. You're live. What's on your mind? It's all about love.
Hey Sabrina, I was just going to say that the whole notion of Valentine's Day is just a consumeristic ploy to pressure people into buying things.
You think?
I don't think it actually, yeah. So like basically you and I both know that when Valentine's Day comes around, all the different boutique stores, they're going to just up their prices because people are somehow socially expected to deliver flowers on a particular day to show affection for a particular person.
Mm-hmm.
My question is that why do you need to show that on a specific day?
No, it's just a day designated for it. I'm not for or against. This is why I love other people's opinions. I have said numerous times on this platform, I am a just because, meaning I love the surprises. But if this is a day designed or designated just for, which is why we're going to look at it from both angles. If you only show me love on Valentine's Day, then what happens for Mother's Day, for birthdays, for anniversaries? What happens the day after? Are we going to be at each other's throats? You see what I'm saying? But if a day is designated, and I understand looking at it from both sides of the coin, which is why I brought it up, it could be pressure for a lot of people as well, based on the environment or the personal situation. I think maturity has a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, so I wasn't saying like directly to you. Like,
no, I'm not. No, I'm not taking it that. I'm just
more of
speaking general.
Yeah, it's more of like a rhetorical question, right?
Mhm.
Because here's my thought, right? Like, let's say you fall in love with, a woman and you end up having a relationship with her.
Mhm.
My question is that why can't you do other nice things for that person and in that relationship?
Mhm.
And why is there a societal pressure to say, oh, well, my other coworkers are getting flowers, so I need to keep up with the Joneses and get flowers for myself?
Mhm.
Because then essentially you're creating like a comparison game, right? Because then now you're looking and you're saying, oh, that boyfriend, he bought his girlfriend flowers and I didn't get any flowers. And then it eventually goes up and up and up the ladder.
Mhm.
Then it starts from, oh, well, he took her to, I don't know, Florida for a week. Why can't you take me to Florida for a week? And it just creates a really toxic
Competitive.
game,
It
right?
becomes competitive.
Yeah, it becomes very competitive, right? So like, that's why I'm saying that it's just a consumeristic ploy to get people to spend more money, right? And I don't think that healthy relationships should fall into that competitive consumeristic like desire, right? Because
You're right.
I think that, love transcends, no offense, a particular point in a day where you just buy somebody flowers, right? I think, if you truly love somebody, you will show them every single day that you care about them, and you can do like the little things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be as simple as doing the dishes or doing the laundry, or helping out your significant other in a being there for them. I don't think that material goods is a good indicator to show somebody that you love them.
Hello, caller.
Oh, hello. Sorry, you hear me?
Now you're back.
Oh, sorry about that. I was just saying that I don't think that like there's a place for material goods. Don't get me wrong, Sabrina. And like it's always nice to get flowers, but that's not what the entire focus of like relationships should be based on.
Correct.
And yeah, that's what I was just trying to get at. And that's why I'm saying that Valentine's Day is a consumerist ploy to get people to get into competition with one another to see who spends the most money on that particular day, which I personally don't buy into.
Okay.
I think that's a scam.
What are you, and we're getting comments similar. What do you think about something that you have pretty much raised up, seeing this 14th of February being a day of love, and it's an expectation for the roses, the chocolates, whatever in general. And as you get older, you look at it from your lens. What do you tell the next generation now? For me, I was not exposed, let's say in the teens, to social media, right? Like where it is now. When you look at the next generation, the ladies and gentlemen of the future, how do you feel from your perspective that is now being embraced? Because they're competing with what you can post, and it shows and expressions of love and affection. And it's almost like indirect bullying. I got this, look at me. What do you think? Because I wasn't impacted by social media. Furthermore, I'm not a competitive person. When it comes to, I don't care what you post, I don't care what you get. That's just not me, but that's me. Okay. But from a national perspective, with the way influencers, social media is going, that too has a lot of pressure on people. What do you think it would be look like in the future? Do you think this is something that will just fade away, or it'll just be modernized to the powers that be in that era, this generation, the Gen Z, the Gen whatever?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. When it comes to social media, that's another brutal comparison game. And we can already see it now in our current generation. Not many people are getting into relationships. Not many people are getting married. What they're actually doing is the polar opposite, right? They're getting into like situationships and like just hooking up for like a weekend, right? People aren't having kids as they used to. Believe it or not, like populations are going down all across the board, especially in other countries like Canada, US, the UK, Australia. We just see it across all the other different countries. My main thing is that Valentine's Day will eventually just end up being obsolete because people aren't really getting into relationships as how they used to. And for me, I think that the younger generation, we see this, right? We just know that, this is just a consumerist holiday that is used to pump out more money and to help encourage more economic spending, right? It's more of an economic thing rather than an actual love thing. So, I think that, when it comes to like love and relationships, I'm pretty biased in this, and I like to follow the oldest book in the textbook, which is the King James Version of the Bible. And it tells us what love is, right? Love is patient, love is kind, love doesn't hold. This is in Corinthians, right? First Corinthians, I think 13, it defines what love is, right? So I normally fall back on that to have my basis on what love is and what it means to show love to somebody else. And then for me, I also, sorry. I was also going to say that, like, as well as like, relationships and how a marriage should look like, I look at Ephesians. So, it says that the man, because a lot of people forget this part, and it's the last part, but I'll be quick. But like, it says that a man should love his wife like how Christ loved the church. And you and I both know that Christ died for the church. So we're called to die for our wives. and in exchange, women should submit to their husbands. But at the near end of it, it says that both should be in submission before the Lord himself. And that's the key part that most people miss out. Yeah, if you read it in like its full entirety, it says that both should be submitting before the Lord.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't. I'm happy you went on that direction. But you also said something that caught my attention, and at the same time, I got a WhatsApp message to ask you: what are your thoughts as to why people are not getting married or even having children? Then, what is this big shift?
Well,
You've admitted that the population, and we've heard this on numerous platforms, all in the region and around the world, that babies are not being born fast enough. We've identified that right here in the Cayman Islands.
Right. And I think the main reason is that it has a lot to do with something I'd like to call neoliberalism. So basically we shifted into a very postmodern society now where, traditional values are being thrown away to the wayside. And now we have certain things like, oh, truth is relative. And we've entered into this more of like a questioning like morals and relativity and traditional family values. I think the main indicator of this is that postmodernism brings about high levels of individualism, right? And it's shifting towards a very individualistic and very selfish mindset, right? Because generally speaking, good societies are developed around community, friendships, marriage, religion, in general, right? For me, I hold Christian values, but there's, you can see this in other countries as well. Like if you look at I don't know, for example, Saudi Arabia, right? They're very traditional people. I mean, sure, they believe in, Islam, but you can see that they still hold the core community family values from an outsider looking in. But I think that's what essentially that we're straying away from, is that, the older parents, and it just boils down to, there's multiple different reasons, right? So you have older parents that kick their kids out early and don't want nothing to do with them. But then when the time comes, they come back and they say, oh, I want to spend time with my grandbaby. And it's like, well, you weren't there to begin with, right? So there's that. It's a very multi-leveled issue that can't be answered with one question. I can point out bits and pieces to you, but I don't want to take up too much of the people's time here.
Correct. Now, you did mention your perspectives is based on your principles of being that of a Christian, but when you even look at persons who are not Christians, you're still not finding persons committing now. And I'm feeling that in itself is a telltale sign. What would you say in regards to just outright committing or believing in love? And then you have those who are, I don't need anyone in my life. I'm quite capable of doing it on my own. And it's no longer just independent woman. We're seeing very successful professional men that are taking the same stance. Are we actually it's both genders now that are actually using that as a hard and fast line. They're not into it. They're just focusing on their career. They're building their wealth. And when you look at it, I don't have exact stats. You're seeing a lot of them that are being very successful. And when you check their relationship status, they're single.
Right. I can answer it from a more I can give you now I see what you're asking. Okay. So basically for me, I was just using Christianity as my basis for what love is and how I determine what love, marriage, and relationships should be. And that's why I personally don't disagree with, that's why I disagree with Valentine's Day. The reason why we're not seeing people get being together, another reason I would point out is when you look at child and family courts, it's very heavily favored towards the women. And then you also have the rise of, things like feminism that's not really helping out relationships, right? So when you have, women that are saying, oh, well, we don't need men and men are trash and, whatever a woman can do, a man can do, it kind of de-incentivizes men to get into a
Emasculinate you.
relationship. Well, yeah, because then, on the flip side, Sabrina, if, men went around and said, oh, well, women don't even know how to do this. And if I really wanted a woman, I could pay somebody to outsource her labor. And the pendulum swings both ways, right? So I think we're seeing a division between men and women where women and men are actively like, competing against each other. And, it's not really in relationships and marriage. It's not really supposed to be a competition, right? It's supposed to be complementarian by design, right? That's how that's how your parents stayed together for as long as they did, because they understood their roles. Different doesn't mean worse or better. You cannot compare an apple to an orange. I cannot compare myself to a woman, right? There's men problems and there's women problems, right? Men can compare themselves to other men because that's a fair apples to apples game. But when you start competing against each other, it kind of goes against the whole notion of what a relationship is. I also think that, like, as the younger generation, like, we're seeing a lot of nasty divorces, right? And we see the same thing that, our parents before us used to say, oh, well, get married and have a kid and, go off to college and do all these things and, happy wife, happy life. And then we look later down the road and we see all these older generations getting divorced. I mean, Sabrina, if you look at the stats, like, there's a good amount of the older senior people that are getting divorced. We call that gray divorces, right? So, like, why would I listen as a younger individual? Why would I go and listen to another individual, another generation, when they themselves are getting divorced, right? Because divorce, believe it or not, is a sign of a relationship failure. It was a failure in the relationship, right? And generally speaking, whenever women are the most likely to file divorce. Like, I think in the United States, I can't really speak too much on Cayman, but like in the United States, around 48% of marriages end in divorce. And out of that 48% that end in divorce, Sabrina, 70% are the ones that are filed by women. That number goes up to 90% if they're college educated, right? So assuming that a woman has a degree, right? 90% of the time within that 48 percentile range, she is the one who's filing for the divorce simply because she's not happy or there's a lack of commitment. That's the number one reason. The number one reason is a lack of commitment in relationships. And I believe the second reason is financial problems because both people are not on the same page financially. Right?
But do you think that you heard about this thing about power couples that you gone into financial? You think that when you go into relationships now that you shouldn't just go into it with just your heart, but also have your head in it as well? It needs to be a balance and you need to look at where you are going into a relationship financially, emotionally, maturity, and not just for the butterflies and the oohs and the ahs, but is this someone I can see me living with? Where do they actually meet me? Is this someone worth investing in? Because it is an investment. And looking at what you said, when you look at maybe the females have a lower threshold of tolerance, disrespect, and is it something that we fail working at before tossing a relationship in the trash? I mean, there are just certain things it's unforgivable. It could be abusive, be it mentally, physically, emotionally. There are a number of reasons why someone reach an end, but just saying, boom, it's done, it's over. Trying to work at things right now is lessened. What are your take? What's your take on that?
All right. I'll answer your question, but would you allow me to ask a scenario-based question to you?
Sure. Go.
Because this is kind of how I summarized it, right? So let's say you ever bought a car before, Sabrina?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say Sabrina, go down to the car dealership, right? And you have $1 million in the bank account. Now, the dealership, the salesman, he shows you this car, right? And he shows you this brand new McLaren F1. Nobody's ever sat in it. Actually, this car was custom made solely for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
The car salesman looks at you and says, okay, this car is worth $1 million, right? And you say, okay, cool. And he shows you another car now, right? This car comes along. It's a 1997 Corolla, beaten down, had, just a whole plethora of problems, right? Engines broken, everything. The car salesman looks at you and says, okay, this car is worth $1 million. My question to you, Sabrina, is that if and only if you had $1 million, which car would you pick?
The one with the least work needed.
Right. So, but see, that goes back to the relationship, right? It's both offer and acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
It's
how much work you're willing to
because on
put
the
in.
man
Yeah,
side-
because they're still valued the same
because
thing.
Right, because on the man side, the man needs to have the $1 million in order to get the Ferrari,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So men cannot be going and demanding $1 million cars when they don't have $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Inversely said, women cannot be demanding Ferrari prices if their character is that of a Toyota Corolla.
Gotcha. Perfect.
So it's literally offer and acceptance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm not trying to say that men are like perfect in whatever we do.
Yeah.
Like, we're delusional in our own unique way. Same thing with women, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that both parties need to come together, realize what they bring to the table in terms, and it's not about money, Sabrina. It's not about the money.
Yeah.
It's about your character. It's your morals. It's your integrity, right?
Yeah.
Because these things have its own worth, weight in gold,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at relationships now, I think people are getting smarter, right? The younger generation, they're saying, okay, well, I'm looking for, women with this, and this quality. And women inversely are looking at men saying, I want this, and this quality.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both litmus testing each other, and they're realizing, well, you don't have these qualities, I'm not accepting. She doesn't have these qualities, I'm not accepting. And they're both walking away because they think, because they're going with this mentality that, that, okay, well, I wouldn't say like, their both expectations are unrealistic, but I'm kind of seeing that more and more now, right?
Okay.
So like, if you look at things like, for example, I don't know, like social media, they'll say like, you see some of these women and they'll say, oh, well, I'm not going to date a guy who's less than 6 foot. And, he needs to, it's kind of like that popular song. It wasn't even a song. It was like I want a man who's 6'5" in finance with a trust fund with blue eyes. And I'm like, that's like less than 0.0001% of the population.
Right.
Like, I'm looking for a man in finance. And it's like, girl, you're going to be single,
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, but then on the inverse.
Lose you. Gotcha. Hello? Hello, caller? Hello?
And you know what I mean?
You're going in and out.
$1 million to get the Ferrari.
You're back. We lost you there for a few.
Oh, sorry. You can hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, on the inverse, right? You have dudes that are like, oh, I want a woman that's traditional and, this, and this, and they need to stay at home. But then you need to have the means to facilitate the woman staying home and doing this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And no offense, like, you can't do that making $30,000 a year. And if you can, that's impressive.
Right. There are just some things just not going to add up. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the pendulum swings both ways. I'm not saying, oh, I'm like this, like, male supremacist dude. I'm just seeing it purely from an offer and acceptance standpoint, because that's what a relationship is at first, excluding Christianity, right? It is purely offer and acceptance.
Interesting. And you grow to love each other. Do you believe in love at first sight?
I believe in lust at first sight.
Oh, interesting. And you eventually,
I don't believe in love.
And that is something that grows on you after time, then, are you saying?
Yeah, you can grow to fall in love with people, but I think initially people, especially like, I can't really speak for women because I'm not a woman, but like, as a dude, I will say that, like even with my wife, I didn't fall in love with, like, I didn't immediately look at my wife and was like, yep, I was gonna marry her. I looked at my wife and I was like, dang, she looks good,
Aye. Mm-hmm.
So I would say that like we lust at first sight as men. We don't really we fall in love later once we start seeing the character and the real person. We fall in love with the real person. But at first we lust after the image of the real person, if that makes sense.
It does, but then it brings back to exactly who you may find out as the real person as age goes, devil's advocate, and you look, and sometimes with age and time, you realize both parties are headed in different directions and they're not exactly what you envisioned or who you lust at that is hoping is evolving into love. And then there comes a point in time that you got to say, look, I don't think we can continue because let's start hurting each other. That usually happens. I think we got on a previous episode, there was someone says that marriages or unions need to come with expiry dates because you got this weird number of 7 to 8 years. And then, you need to have this expiry date. And I really feel in every human being, especially if you've decided to live your life with someone, that you go through phases, and it takes a lot of communication, understanding, compromise, and brutal honesty at times in order to hash things out. But the fundamental part of it, or the baseline of it, is communication.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, right? Marriage wasn't created by the state.
Uh-huh.
So why, if you're going to put an expiration date to marriage, right? That was something that was uniquely invented.
It was just a comment that was made because of the high number of divorces that we're seeing. And you rightfully said at the end of the day, you're seeing older persons who actually end up in divorce that you thought, for years you were together, but in your tender retirement ages, you're realizing, look, I can't deal with this. And then you're having some that's between the 6 to 8 years that we're like, no, I can't do this anymore. And exit stage left.
Well, that's the issue, right? And this is the problem that we're having now, is that people think love is a feeling. It's not a feeling, it's a choice, right? Look at your kid, or look at like people's kids. I don't know if you have kids or not, right? But if you had kids, you love your kids unconditionally as a parent, right? You love them even when they do, wrong things or bad things. You may not like them, but you choose to love them, right? It's the same thing with relationships, right? And even in marriage, like, yeah, sure, there's sometimes that, there's some things that somebody might do to you in a marriage and you may not like it. But if you love the person, you'll make the choice to continually love them, right? And you're going to try to make things work. You're going to put in your best effort. And if both people love each other, then they will do that. But it just goes back. It goes back to a values thing, right? Like marriage was literally ordained under God, right? And that marriage has gone way back, even at the origin of, like, marriage is instituted way times ago, right?
Right.
Like the early church has immediately established this. So marriage is a Christian thing, right? Historically speaking. But when we start to say, oh, well, I don't feel like I'm in love with the person, and they change and we've grown apart, then it is your duty to try to amend things, right? You have a duty and responsibility in a marriage to do that. That's why you have couples counseling, therapy, marriage therapy, and it also boils down to who you surround yourself with, Sabrina, because here's a little trick. Single people keep people single. And trust me when I tell you, there's a lot of people who actually secretly envy your relationship and your happiness that you have in your relationship, in your marriage. And they want to see you fail just like how they have. There's a very common saying, misery loves company.
Yep.
So you have to be on the lookout for that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people people do not like seeing other people happy.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
especially people who suffered from divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't tell me that those people don't feel a certain sense of bitterness or resentment or anger, right? Because it's the same thing with a breakup, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you break up with somebody, you can say, oh, well, I've done this and I've done that. And, but at the end of the day, there's still going to be an underlying sense of bitterness and resentment
Mm-hmm.
for what happened in the past.
Your
The
past
only difference
hurts.
is that you just learn. It's just past hurts, right? With
Mm-hmm.
anything. But like the difference is that you've just learned to accept and move on.
Yeah.
But like there's still always that wound,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying, like, marriage, I don't think people are getting married because they know that it's a lifelong commitment and they don't know 100%, like you were saying, how do I know that this person is, good or good enough for me? And that's why they're staying in long-term relationships or situationships, because when you actually understand the totality of what marriage really means,
Mm-hmm.
the origin and the context of marriage, people wouldn't be getting married as they as what they would be. There's a lot of people that, let me put it this way, all right? There's a lot of women out there that want weddings, but they don't want to be married.
They want the occasion, but not the task.
Yeah. Yes. That's why I'm saying, like, and I'm not trying to put this on women either, but like generally speaking, dudes, they don't really care if they're getting they're having a wedding or not. They're like, okay, cool. Well, we're married, moving on,
Mm-hmm.
But it's normally the women that are like, oh, I want the wedding and the celebrations, and they want the grandiose things because they want the wedding. But when it comes time to actually be the wife, it's very difficult for them.
Mm-hmm.
And men are seeing this, and they're just like, hey, you know what? Why would I want to surrender half of my assets, right, to a woman that I may or may not know that might divorce me? If there's a 50% failure rate, right, excluding Christianity, excluding all Christian values, right? Look at it from a secular point, Sabrina. If marriage is a 50-50 chance at divorce, and out of that 50%, I have a 100% probability of losing all my assets. Well, half my assets would be divided, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 50-50 chance of failure or success, right? Why would I go, if I were an established man and built up this entire financial quote unquote kingdom, why would I go and risk it for marriage if there's a 50% chance of failure?
Mm-hmm.
I might as well go to the casino, Sabrina.
Yeah.
That's why people aren't getting married, purely from a secular standpoint.
Very interesting. Well, let's see where it goes.
Yeah, man, no problem. Well, I'm going to give other people to have a chance.
Yes, I would love to get a female to weigh in on this or somebody else's opinion, but thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
very appreciate it. Appreciate it. Sure. You were asked to give you a kaboom. Oh, good engaging with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, no problem. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
There we go. The phone lines are wide open, 936-8255. And I love when you all participate and get different views on exactly what's going on. Or Tartarian, you something else, you are something else. The episode title today is Love, Pressure, and Reality, because this Saturday is Valentine's Day. And I'd love to get your opinion on it. Of course, you are all welcome. What Tartarian says, well, I want to see the happiness tomorrow. I got my Drakkar cologne ready. Oh my gosh, you're something else. Hey, Michelle, how are you? So nice to have you. Jim was saying, based on what the other caller was saying, that a prenup is available. And pretty much, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily work in all jurisdictions either. And this is why, as that caller says, not everybody's running to commit, especially if you know that it stands a great chance to you having everything pretty much taken away and because of love. The phone lines are wide open. I'd like to get your feedback on this. And I saw some interesting comments here. Harry's left us, but I know that you had to go. And Jim says a lot of people just don't want to work at it any longer. You're quite right. And yes, it does, Jim. It does take a lot of work, and it all depends on the personalities as well into the relationship, and how much are willing to make the compromise, how much are willing to make the sacrifice, to be honest with you. And oh my gosh, somebody's saying, where is Eldon? Eldon, I want to hear your views, sir. Well, they're calling it out. You must have rubbed that magic teapot. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. This is just your topic today.
Who Eldon is?
I have no clue, but I tell you what, Gina worked.
I know this, the devil pro bono.
The devil pro bono. This is just your cup of tea. What's your take on this?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment on what the gentleman just called just now, talking about marriage and it being a failure rate, and the high failure rate and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think people we romanticize what marriage is, and without realizing that it isn't. It's work, right? I mean, relationships are work, but marriage itself, because it's one thing if, Sabrina, let's say you're dating somebody, and y'all can't make it, you're out with your girlfriends and y'all drinking and stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, he a dog, you should leave him, and you should this and you should that, and blah 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 blah. But then when you get married now, it turns into, well, that your husband tries to work it out, and that kind of thing. I think people get into marriage without realizing the respect due to the other party, the blind eye that you have to turn many times, the arrangements that the two of you have to come to, to make it work.
Which is why that caller says single people keep you single. And that also can expand a little bit wider into saying that that's why it's important that when two heads hit pillow, there's a bigger meaning to that. If you have issues, keep it at home. Try to solve your problems yourself instead of actually making other people get into your business. You understand? Instead of just tossing it to the side or making your friends or outside influences have a say in your personal relationship.
Well, listen, I'm well acquainted with situations where, I mean, when two heads meet one pillow, right? All of a sudden now, you see certain things done behind the person's back. You go and you inform the other person. You say, okay, well, I saw him here, or I saw her over there. He was with this body and he was with that body. But then when the two heads meet one pillow, all of a sudden now you become the enemy in common, right? It's oh well, Alfred tried to break us up, but we're stronger than ever, and all of a sudden, Alfred jealous, or Alfred want this, or Alfred want that. So me typically I tend to stay out of other people's. As a friend, if you want vent, I'm here. If you want place to crash, well, you all cool off. But to say give you my advice as to what to do with your husband or your wife, I'm not doing that. I've been burned by that before.
What's your take on both parts? Well, this is just not just for the guys, because women now are actually doing it as well, on having multiple relationships because you're with someone, but you find something else in somebody else that you wish, or maybe that you're lacking. And then you're pretty much living separate lives with 2 or 3 different persons. What's your take on that new norm, so to speak? Devil's advocate.
Sorry, excuse me. You mean like in terms of entertaining more than one romantic relationship?
Yes, sir. Because it's becoming a norm. You see an attribute or a personality in this person, but you're committed to another person that brings another piece to the table, but it's lacking at home. So you find yourself in emotional relationships with multiple persons, but for whatever reason, you just can't settle for one. What's your because that's on both genders nowadays. I'm seeing that.
My personal take on it is, I mean, there's a Tyler Perry movie that came out some time ago. It's called Why Did I Get Married? And they talked about the 80-20 rule. right? Basically, for those who haven't watched it or for those who aren't familiar with the rule, make a list of all the things you want in another person, right? You want good looks, you want great sex, you want, a provider, you want somebody who cooks for you, you want this, you want that, make your list.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to fulfill 100% of that. Nobody. You're lucky if you get 70%, maybe 80%, right? But nobody's going to fulfill that list.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I mean, are you going to risk losing the 80% chasing the 20% that you don't get?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I mean, we live in a new age. I mean, people are talking about polyamory and polyamorous relationships and thruples and that kind of thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as I said earlier, I mean, it's a discussion you need to have with your partner. I mean, you all have to come to that arrangement and you all decide what the rules look like there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for some people, that's absolutely off the table. Like, no, it's either me or I'm out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Other people will be like, all right, well, as long as I know who she is or I know who he is or whatever the case may be, you go out, you just be discreet, make sure nobody comes to my workplace and cause a scene or nobody come into my house or blowing up my phone and disrespecting me. Some people go so far as to do the whole throuple thing where all three of us are dating each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, no one situation is for everybody.
And
Me,
you,
I jealous. I tell you right, I jealous. So
I got a line that is, I agree that you see my size.
I jealous. So I can just say I jealous. Right?
Oh wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
if it happening, I don't. If it happening, I had better not find out.
Right, right. No, I just feel it comes down to respect once you commit.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of work, to be honest, unless you know within yourself that, let's say, your substantive relationship is pretty much at its end, and where respect is concerned, you've reached that point in your headspace that it's an end, and both of you have reached that decision. Of course, you're going to explore, unless you choose to not commit again, whatever, right? But this thing of just committing is definitely becoming something that is diluted, and you're seeing it more and more each day. People are not willing to put into work. There's so much side pieces that it really makes you wonder sometimes that's why I said it's almost like a norm until you get caught. Some men and women as well constantly hunt. Men are naturally hunters. We know that. But at some point, you should settle down. And now you're having some females that are just out there, just having fun.
I mean, when it comes to men being hunters, I mean, men are men. We're men. I mean, you see somebody that look good, you're gonna look, but you should exercise something. Actually, I don't know if I can say this on air, but you should exercise a certain level of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got big head and you got small head, and small head will always get you in trouble if you chase where he points. So, he always gets you in trouble.
Okay, someone just sent in a message saying that tell Alfred I'm looking forward to the show tomorrow night.
Maybe I should talk about this tomorrow night.
Yeah, you could. Hey, we're all one family here. What is up for tomorrow night?
Well, I guess tune in and find out.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, you're something else. Teaser you. Mm-hmm. Well, definitely. I will be tuning in.
So, but I have a question for you, though.
Go ahead.
And this is a question for the audience that listens, right?
Mm-hmm.
What y'all think about, like how you got to renew your licenses and you got to renew. What do you think about, like, marriage is the only commitment, the only contract that is till death do us part, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about renewable marriage licenses? Hear me now.
Yeah. Give me some more context.
I'm gonna pitch this to you now, right? So me and you get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
The marriage license good for, let's say, 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know like how you get the little notifications on your phone talking about, time to renew your car license, time to renew your driver's license, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You could get a little message, would you like to renew your license? And then you just go in and you say, you click yes, and you just pay a little fee, and then you renew for another 10 years or another 5 years. So that way, if it's not working by the time the license done, and no need for no nasty divorce. There's no need for, who gets what and who gets this and who gets that. It just, you just part ways.
That's actual counter to what the first caller was saying, that it shouldn't be based on a timeline, which is why I love this space, because some people would actually go for that. And I know it was not you, but something similar and along those lines came up on a previous episode.
I think that was me.
No, but it was somebody else. I would remember you. Put it like this. I heard it multiple times, and I think it was a conversation that I had, no fault divorce, when that topic came up. There was somebody that weighed in on it, and they were saying, yeah, you should just be, Cayman don't have any legislation for that. And they felt that pretty much, I think it's either 5 or 6 headings that you can file for grounds of divorce right now. And that if there was an opportunity for no fault divorces, where 2 persons mutually responsibly just go and they say, look, we're done, whatever, that you would probably have less adultery. You would probably have persons less staying into relationships for other reasons other than the fact that they are working on it or they love each other, right? Because we know it can be expensive. And talk about the auxiliary matters. Yeah, exactly. See, auxiliary matters. So I love this space because you flipped it, because what the first caller said was actually just removing that out of the way. Shouldn't be anything with an expiry date or renewal, but people do vow renewals anyhow, and they still have ish going on because they don't want to disappoint the great-grandchildren or the grandchildren. And really deep down, when you look at how our parents, Alfred, showed love, what they tolerated, what they endured, some of them very much aware of what you described earlier, but yet they saw it through thick and thin and never complained. Their kids never said a word until one party dies, and then the other one sometimes spill the beans. And you would be shocked at how unhappy they were, but on the surface, they kept it together. That's a different breed of people that we no longer see.
Yeah, because in Cayman, back in those days, you still had shame.
Now,
Shame was a big thing, and we're in a small place, and people don't want to put their business out there. But on that topic, I just want to put a little thing there. When we talk about our grandparents and our great grandparents, we hear them talking about our great grandfathers when they went out to sea. They would go out to sea, and they would have families in Cuba and in Honduras and whatnot, and they'd come home to their family here. You think the women here weren't doing something too? You think the great grandma? You think our great grandmothers wasn't doing stuff too?
I tell you what,
right?
They're pretty good at holding some secrets, though, because now when you do that ancestry.com, you're finding out some very interesting things.
But that's what I'm saying. They had enough respect for one another that, you know what, I'm not gonna rub it in your face, and you're not gonna rub it in my face, and we just get along. And yeah, even though I see that child don't look like me or my father or my grandfather or anybody in my family, I'm gonna just accept them. Yeah. So yeah, and that been going on. That always as long as we're around, they're always gonna be around.
Yes. Well, but someone commented on WhatsApp, says, yes, Dave Martin says it's the best in his song. A marriage license should be like a driver's license. You get you get your learner's permit, and then you practice to the thing. The thing to do. Wow.
or another road to take. In order to preserve marriage. Because, I believe that marriage is sacred. And I don't think that it should be entered into lightly. And I think they should make it harder to get into, to be honest, so that those who really, really want it, and gotta fight for it, are more likely to stay in it.
Alfred, we got a comment here. The theology mafia won't let you get that far, Uncle Alfred. Renewable? Question. Laugh out loud. You're far too progressive for them, Unc. Laughing.
But here what? To that commenter, I say this. Well, here what? Let the religious mafia keep the word marriage. Do like what they do in France. Everybody just gets civil partnership, whether you're gay or straight or whatnot. everybody's just civilly partnered, and then they just go and they get if they want to do a religious ceremony, they go to the churches and get a religious ceremony, and then so let them have the word marriage, right? So that way they keep out of it altogether.
Well, they did. Shaka Zulu did comment. They like your thinking, though. And Jim says, skeletons in all generation closets. And Anne says, I think it would be a good thing. So much better than staying in an unhappy marriage. I think she was talking about the no fault thing, no fault divorces. And Denver says, yes, Alfred, had 2 to 3 different sets of children. Boy, Denver, I would love some of those stories, Denver, if really, 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 if we could turn back the hands of times. And you, Alfred, brought it out because even though the men got the bad name, it would be not to be disrespectful in any way, just being real, to really know exactly what life was like when they did go back to sea.
All right. Here, okay. On that, let me say something to you. Men always get the bad name because men always get themselves away doing dumb stuff. Right? Women do it too, but women slick.
Craft.
Right? And for those who not listen, let me because I have a lot of female friends and I hear them talk and this and that and thing. Let me put you into how females think and how men think, right? A woman could be cheating on you right now. Right? Mind you, you're not got no evidence, but you suspect she's cheating on you. But you come in, you argue with her, you have an argument with her, and then you're arguing, and then she just gets tired of the argument and she say, yeah. And she slapped the countertop, yeah, he effing me right here on this thing. That what you want here? Now, mind you, she's telling you the truth of what happening. But how she's saying it and how she know how to play on male psychology, you thinking now, right? No man, she messing with me, man. No man, she can't. No man, she just joking. She can't mean that. She can't. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I won't say I can't say because it's not late night yet. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, totally. Thank God we're not on radio. It's just a podcast, but I appreciate you respecting, and definitely that could be a segment maybe for your show because it is after hours. But I got a question that came in by WhatsApp. And of course, this goes for you and for even those who are commenting online. Should government get their hands out of marriage altogether?
Yes.
Wow. Let's see what others are saying. If you can drop your response, or if you could drop your response in the comments.
In my opinion, marriage is a religious institution. Let the religions have marriage. Government only gets involved in registering domestic partnerships. So you can go and get a domestic partnership registered. This is my partner. And then if you and your significant other want to go and have a religious ceremony in a church or a mosque or a synagogue or wherever, you have that option. But yes, I do agree. I think governments should step out of marriage altogether.
Shaka Zulu gave me 3 yeses. Let's get your take on it. Again, the question was, just in case you missed it, should government get their hands out of marriage altogether? I'd like to just drop your comment in the below and just let me know. It's a simple yes or no. It would be a good idea to see where we're going. I mean, that's what I love this space. Andrew says, marriage is a serious commitment, a contract for life. Loyalty, trust, and respect are ingredients missing from present-day relationships. If you say that you love the person, it is not what you say, but what you do. Your actions display what you are. Thank you for that comment, Andrew. Very interesting. I'm loving the comments. But Alfred, always good to have you weigh in. Anything else you would love to put Alfred president for life? See, I got a message coming. You got your own cheerleading squad over here, Alfred. And just share with us a little bit about your show, because just in case persons who have come on, we got some new followers yesterday. They're probably not aware of your show. I'm going to give you an opportunity to just give us a little snippet. I'll give you this opportunity since it's all about love. This weekend is all about love. However you choose to do it anyhow. I know that the conversation here has been balanced, but it is what it is. Saturday is Valentine's Day, whether you choose to support it or not. Tell us a little bit about your show.
Well, the show is called Love and Lies, right? The lies we tell ourselves about love, and talking about some really uh, sensitive topics that you don't really talk about on air.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's kind of all I'm gonna say.
But tell us when it's aired, what are the hours, that sort of stuff, and where can we find you? Do you have a social media handle? How can we find you?
It's okay. So the show airs weekly. It's a weekly show on Friday on CMR TV. So you can just log into Facebook and see us live
Mm-hmm.
at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11 on a Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And you can follow us at Real Talk Love and Lies on Instagram.
Nice. Thank you so much. Definitely. So I'm expecting something really steamy for tomorrow night.
Well, we'll see what it holds. Still be young.
Yes. Definitely. The eve of.
Correct.
Well, thank you so much for weighing in. And I'm hoping that we could get a female or somebody to call in. Oh my God. Yes, please. I'm really hoping that we could get a female's perspective on how they view definitely life. I like to engage with people live on this platform, but it's good to just get, multiple different genders, hear it from different sides. I'm just a host, to be honest. I would love to get another perspective on it, but
well, my last comment will be: not all men are dogs, and not all women are angels. So, with that being said,
there you go.
With that being said, this is Alfred, the Devil Pro Bono, signing out.
There you go. Thank you so much. Love you lots, my dear. Oh my gosh, always a pleasure to speak to Con Alfred. And definitely you want to tune in tomorrow night from 10 to 11 for his live podcast right here on cmrtv.com. And definitely you can follow him on his social media channels as well so that you don't miss an episode. Me, Jim, hey, you're learning. Sabrina need a splash of ice water. Let me tell you something. There's a reason why Alfred does his show by himself. There's a different side of me. Anyone who really knows me, 6 o'clock, LaQuisha comes out. That's a different alter ego, but it's just fun. It is so good. But I love to really hear another side. Honestly, I'd love to hear a woman call in and just be open and honest with what's happening. Age does not matter. Of course, I'm hoping that you're over 18. How do you see, well, of course, over 18. How you see relationships and where we're going, a more mature person as well. Yes, hot. And comparison of relationships back in the day. There is one thing now that we in this day age, everything is out there. Everybody has cameras, smartphones, big brother is watching. You could be having dinner at a local location and you're not even realizing for security reasons, maybe you're caught going into a door and you're with somebody else. It could be totally misread. Versus those in the earlier days where there weren't so much pressure with social media. And yeah, of course, news got around very quickly, but it's not like something that could go worldwide just by the click of a button. And it would be good to get a female's perspective on how relationships, how they look at love, how they actually look at just respecting each other once you're in a committed relationship, comparing now to then. It would be very interesting to get your feedback on it. The phone lines are open should you wish to call in 345-936-8255 to give a different spin on it. I challenge you for that. Thank you for those who actually participated and commented as to whether or not you feel government should come completely out of marriage altogether. Thank you for weighing in on that. It's really good to get your feedback. Jim says, times have changed and the world has changed and people have changed, including commitments. You are so right. And this is why you're looking at it differently from different perspectives. Even with commitment, with children, the respect. And it is quite concerning, to say the least, as to what tomorrow may look like, the future, literally. when it comes to relationships, respect, and where we're going. And this is why, with that WhatsApp comment as to whether or not government should actually come out, take their hands out of marriages completely, that's a general question. Is that something of the future when you go to the point where they're considering in their other jurisdictions, BOTC jurisdictions, where there's no fault divorces, even though it's not something that is here yet, it is something that is being considered. And you heard from our first caller that says, look, they're seeing persons. What are the chances of someone who's very successful getting into a relationship if there's a 50% chance or a great chance that it's going to fail? Pretty much all of what they've worked for. So it is interesting to see a different spin on it. Good evening, caller. Welcome back.
Hello. I actually wanted to agree with the gentleman that was speaking before about creating a civil unionship. I guess my main concern with that is like just the whole transferring, like, because when you get married, there's also certain immigration benefits if it revolves around immigration.
Mm-hmm.
So if people want to have like a civil union or marriage, that's totally fine. And I actually believe that the state should be separate from the church. So like I believe in church and state separation, right? But I don't think that even if because I'm pretty sure Cayman has already done that. Like they have didn't they legalize gay marriage or something like that a while back?
Same-sex union, not the marriage. They're called civil partnerships. It's not a marriage, but it has all of the characteristics of what we would call a marriage, but it's there are some parts of the law that doesn't allow, like if you enter into the civil partnership, you're not entitled to one's estate, for example. And that was on an earlier episode that I had Miss Joy Basdeo on, and she was pointing out some stuff, the differences in the law versus a conventional marriage, the marriage that we go to a church or whatever that we do as husband and wife. Versus the civil partnership. There are some differences.
Yeah, okay. Because I was going to say, like, if people still want to have like civil unionships or whatever, like, I'm actually okay with that. I just don't think that, me personally, I do believe that the state has its own place as well as the church,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that, I don't think that any society, like, ideally on paper, sure, it'd be great to have a theocracy, but in reality, it would completely undermine freedom of religion, right? And I'm a huge proponent for that. I believe that people should have the freedom to believe in whatever they want and yada yada. That's why I don't believe in theocracies. But
understood.
I personally think that if the government does impose like a civil unionship, there would need to be like some like it'll take a while to like put in some like reformations on like, okay, does it still function as a marriage where both people during the marriage, if they acquire marital assets, how will that be
that part is not in it.
Like
that part is under the current structure that we have, from what I understood, and I'd have to look back at it again. That part is not included. Yeah. Should somebody die and you're in a civil partnership, you're not entitled to their estate. There are just some there's some other differences as well. But this is based off of memory and discussion because it's been a while back. But even myself was a little shocked at that in regards to the difference between a regular marriage and the civil partnerships. And remember, prior to that, there was no legislation that recognized common law.
Yeah. I mean,
this is the closest thing to acknowledging common law.
Right. And, I understand that probably the UK and other countries and even America does this as well. But like, my personal thing is that like, if right, that the chance of failure is 50%, right? And you're going to end up living and not really marrying, but you're going to enter into a legally binding contract with somebody, right? And that legally binding contract says that whatever money you make during the marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are assets of the marriage. And one day, if you guys just don't like each other and then you separate from the civil contract, then it kind of creates a situation where like, oh, well, how do we know how much, like, how do you divide everything 50-50 to the very, like,
Especially if they're
and then what if,
children, or put it from the other side, if there are no kids and you found me at a certain stance. Yeah.
yeah, because like let's do it this way, right? Just a really out there example. Let's say like somebody marries like an attorney, right? And she makes like 250,000 a year, and they say, okay, well, I'd like to enter into this civil contract with you so that we could live together and share assets together, right? And the lawyer agrees to it, and she makes $250,000 a year, and she, before the marriage, she has this big house in South Sound. Let's say that she lives at the Google Man house, right?
Mhm.
That big old house at South Sound. Let's say she lived there, right? So she lived there and she's paying all these things, and she has a business prior to the marriage, right? And she goes in, and I'll give her one, right? You sign a prenup. And now all these assets during the marriage, right? During these marriages are required. So like she bought the man a house, a car, like another house, another car, a bunch of different things, right? And they start acquiring income in the marriage. Do you think that any person who makes money like that, or anybody who, besides not like, because think about it, right? If you look at a marriage is a joint union, right? And it's an oath made under God. But if you
joint.
exclude that, it's if you exclude Christianity from it, it just becomes a legally binding contract, right?
Mhm.
So my question is, why would somebody in their right mind enter into a legally binding contract with another individual, and they have assets and they have the ability to generate more assets in the future? Why would they enter into a contract where they know that there's a 50% failure rate? Like, the only logical solution then would be like, okay, well, we could live together and we don't have to enter into this legally binding contract.
Uh-huh.
I mean, mind you, I'm okay with the legally binding contract being there, right? Because there's also certain immigrational benefits that may or may not come along with it, right? Because, marriage is not only just about like, it's about love and, I believe that it's ordained by God, and, but there's also certain benefits with marriage, one of them being immigration,
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is like, I don't think the whole, it's good. Like, I think we should do it, impose the legally binding contract, but in all reality, I don't think people are going to be biting at that hook, because then it completely undermines the entire essence of the marriage, right? Because why, like, repeating myself again, why would you enter into a legally binding contract, a partnership,
If you know there's a
with
great chance it's
someone,
not going to work. And you
right?
risk
That's like
all of your,
it's a business partnership at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's a business partnership that you get to have sex with somebody else. That's really what it ends up being.
Interesting. I'll leave us there. We got another caller coming in.
Yep.
All right. Thanks. Thank you so much. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Sabrina Speaks. You're live.
I'm going to try and attempt to answer your other caller's question.
I'm happy we got a female voice for the flip side of things.
We need to understand that, and he is taking this from the completely rational perspective, using logic to make what should be, what is a very, very, very life-impacting decision. But we have to also remember, and this may very well also be perhaps the male way of thinking versus the female way of thinking, right? Because females are emotional beings and males are predominantly physical beings, right? But marriage in its purest form is an emotive situation. And where he is asking the question, why would you risk? Because when it comes on to marriage in its purest form, that should be the result of love. A lot of time, all logic goes out the window with love. So that is how people say, oh, I love you. I trust you. You're not going to hurt me. You're not going to steal from me. You're not going to cheat on me. Therefore, that then didn't result in let's get married. Let's trust each other. Let's share all of our assets. Okay? And a marriage should not be a business decision. So what he's talking about in why would somebody logically go into this type of contractual arrangement when they're putting everything in their kingdom at risk, right? That is a business way of thinking. However, a marriage should not, once again, in its purest form, be thought of in that sense.
But what I think he's highlighting is the actual risk that because of exactly what you described, it's highly emotive. It's emotive, and yeah, you fall for the butterflies, and for that moment, and it's almost like the hit. I've never done drugs, but they're saying you keep you're feeling you're constantly seeking that feeling when it was in its early forms. You're still constantly looking for that 10, 15 years after the fact. Like, where the heck did the spark go? It's not the same. It's like trying to crank up an old Buick.
Yes, but going back to what you started saying right in the beginning of the risk, absolutely. But once again, marriage in its purest form, we're talking about two people who are genuinely in love with each other. They're not exchanging vows on that day thinking about a divorce.
Correct.
That's the furthest thing from their mind. And even if it did cross their mind and he got cold feet or she got cold feet, they had a swarm of friends that probably talked them out of it and say, put on your clothes and let's go.
You're doing this. You're doing this.
So that is in that respect. And the other point that I wanted to make in relation to the kingdom, right, is that make no mistake, we females got our kingdoms too. And we take our risks as well. And I'm sure he probably meant unisex, but he kept on saying his. So I just wanted to throw it out there that we got our kingdoms too. And we take our risks as well.
Yep.
But also, one more thing in relation to marriage. He was saying, why would somebody get married? Why would somebody take that risk? And I just want to point out too that there's a whole population of people that are for religion reasons, right? The Bible is saying you should not have sex out of marriage. And so there is a population of people that adhere to that. And therefore, marriage is relevant because I don't want to be a virgin. I want to be committed to somebody, blah, 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 right? And I'm not going to debate on, the right or wrongs of any of those beliefs. I'm just saying that it is a real thing. And if you think back to much older generations gone by, remember when people were getting married at 13, 14, 15, 16?
Yeah.
It was the norm. It was the norm, right? So there is a religious aspect to the conversation as far as marriage is concerned, to where if I don't get married because I don't want the risk of the kingdom falling apart or losing my kingdom, then do I live in a lifestyle of abstinence? And how realistic is that?
Right.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. I'm so happy for yes, definitely hearing a female side on this. And again, we are at 6:34, a little under half hour to go as we conclude on the home stretch of today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, weighing in on exactly pretty much what love means to you, because as we enter into the weekend, It is the 14th of February, and we know what that day could mean for a lot of people. So I'd love to get your takeaway on this. Some see it as a day of romance, and some see it as just a day where we spend money and the expectations are not real. And we're talking and exchanging about exactly what true love is. And of course, we're seeing it from different sides, different age, different perspectives. You're seeing it from the biblical standpoint. You're seeing it from people. Denver, I'm hoping that maybe one of these days I see you post something here. I gotta put Denver seems like he's available. The woman I'm looking for, but don't buy me anything. I'll be 110% your servant. Oh my goodness. There you go. So Denver. You're definitely putting yourself out there. So who to tell? Maybe you may get that lucky person this Valentine's season, or maybe by the end of the month. And was agreeing with our caller, and Andrew saying engine dead, getting gas, but no spark. That first thing we got to find is a new model. Andrew, you something else, and I know you would get the analogy, I know you would get the analogy. But it is quite interesting. And thank you for all of you who are participating. And definitely for those of you who are calling in and weighing in on this topic, because at the end of the day, it doesn't take away from the realities that we're facing. And relationships are at risk. Commitments, as we're seeing, is definitely dwindling. True love based on what vantage point, what angle you're looking at it, maybe what love means to you is not necessarily how I look at love. You may say, BS, love is love, how you respect someone, what you do, your actions. And I saw where somebody says you don't have to spend a dime on Valentine's Day. It's your actions. You can get creative. If it is a case where you are not one of those on the day, it doesn't have to take hundreds of dollars. It doesn't have to limit you to perfume or fancy dancy dinners. Sometimes the littlest things mean the world to females. And I know you guys too. I know you guys. You guys are more easier to please than I think women give you credit for. And to just be balanced now, a lot of the times we forget that our males are human beings, and we ask a lot of them, not realizing that they hurt too. You can't say I'm taking it one side, and I'm being honest. When was the last time you really looked at or heard it from a man's perspective because of how society paints him, and really asked, how is your emotional state? The expectations of the male figure in a household, and especially during this time, they have feelings. And this is why I feel if you're in a relationship, it goes both ways. And many a times us women try to read their minds. And they're as far as east is from west when we're thinking this is what's going through their minds and this is what's going through their thoughts. And we're just so far opposites. What that brings me to the reality is that even though we are wired differently as females versus males, the one thing that we both have in common is that we know what feeling appreciated, sharing love, open communication, gratitude, expression of gratitude and appreciation feels like. And there's no gender bias there. But I think many a times with what we're seeing now, and it doesn't mean that our men are weaker. Sometimes we don't give them enough credit. We don't allow them to really, it's okay to be emotional. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't. And I really feel that with the societal pressures right now that are being placed on a lot of our men, can we honestly be saying we're being fair? If we're talking about everything and how things are changing and then versus now, is that where the next generation is going, where we meet each other here? We meet each other here. I hear you out, and your needs are your needs are no less of a value than mine because I'm the female in the relationship and you're the male. When it comes to those emotions and just communication, I feel both persons should be in any relationship, and just how you need to look at both genders. You all need to meet each other at the same level. Now, I could have persons that says, "Oh no, that's a mama man. Oh, that's making somebody soft." No, stop it. Stop it. I have friends that hurt too, and they're guys. Just a simple appreciation, gratitude means the world to them. And simple little things as females we do for our male partners that they may not necessarily talk about around a domino table because you know how those testosterones go. But let me tell you something. They walk out there saying, "Yeah, that's my mama." Oh, yeah, they appreciate it. They may not, like I said, talk about it around a domino table or a Luda table. But when they leave home, little things, they're like, "Yo, she the prize." We meet each other both ways. What's your take on that? Welcome in. I welcome your feedback on that. Just why not go down to the general registry and create limited liability partnerships? Why join a civil union partnership? Oh, I don't know. Is that available down there? I don't know if that is even available here, or if it's some laws that we could create for that one. Sia says, "I don't buy chocolates for Valentine's Day. I buy a whole bag of Snickers and hand them out to married people." Really? Why only married? Why only married? But that's very sweet. Oh, so sweet. Snickers, my favorite too. If I could cheat, boy, I could cheat with a Snicker. Kit Kat too, but a Snickers my favorite. Hint, hint. Andrew says, "It would be good to get the perspective from a married couple who have been married for 30, 40 years. Compromise is critical, and we will never agree on everything in a relationship. I must say the glass is half full, and my partner says it's half empty. Or call a color gray, and I say it's silver." Very interesting. It's true. It would be, yeah, I called for that earlier on. It would be good to just sit down with a couple who've endured it for like 30, 40 years. Oh my God, that should be interesting. Tartarian says, "That's true. If I had a house, I know I would be married. Long time for sure. It's a pressure. It's a pressure, darling. Lots of pressure." Oh, well, Tartarian, well, you can look at having property joint together, like finding that right partner. And both of you invest in this property together. But yeah, I see it. There could be a lot of pressure for you just displaying what you've accomplished. Doesn't make you look like a waste man or just is it streggy woman or someone who's very common. What do you bring to the table? Yeah, but looking at it from the male side, I can see, but what if that never happens and time is going? That you don't meet all of these things with a house and all that sort of stuff with the pressure. It is real. I'm not denying that. It is real because I hear the conversations. Denver says, "We are all alike. We are all like a battery. Have negative and positive. However, not properly connected will not work. As you know, though, the battery will die." Oh, yeah. Oh, she'll die. Sucker. Oh, sorry. Stickers. Suckers. Oh, Lord. Suckers, not stickers. Okay. Andrew, never try to change your partner to suit you. You met them and accept them, and they accepted you. And Andrew, so well said, because there's one song that popped into my head that goes, if you don't know me by now, you will never, never know me. And that song is timeless, but it's very profound. And there's another one too that comes into mind, Take Time to Know Her, as well. These are all timeless pieces. Maybe I'm timelining myself as well. Hey, born in 1974. But what I'm saying is these are timeless songs, and they're all good messages behind it that really, really, if you really listen to them, there's some profound messages in them with relationships as well. And I think in time, we will see things change, continue to change. And this is why we will do the best at instilling in our children what we feel is right, understanding that they have decisions to make when they become their own adults, and that decision to commit or not. But remember, what you've instilled in them, what they have observed, the environment that they're coming from actually will remain a foundation with what they will take with them through the rest of their life. So I'm just happy to be alive. I'm just happy that I have had two boys and they're on the right path. One's married and the other one got engaged over the holidays. And so far, so good. I must say I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And let's see. I have a lot of other young men and women that have raised up around me by being so involved in the schools. And we're seeing them. It's amazing. Some have focused more on their careers. Some have had families. Some are just enjoying life and building themselves. Like what you said, the pressure is real. Tartarian, I think that was you. Yeah, the pressure is real, but it just goes to show what you instill in them will definitely chart their course for how they view life. And I can only pray. I can only pray for them every day. Tartarian says, and when a man gets sick, some women say, oh, he is a man, he can take the pain, and they do not know how to care for a sick man or husband. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You all need really a little bit more TLC being on a sick for Trudeau. And on a head hard. Because we will try to tell you to take medicine, let's go to the doctor, and it's like doing a root canal. And yes, but you do have some women that will say, suck it up. You're a guy. You can take the pain. Yeah, so it all depends. But that has a lot to do with your partner as well. Sabrina, can you take a knife and open a man or a woman heart and read it to see love written on it? If I find that there, then I would take a chance and not still 100%. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. You don't know. You only can go in it in faith. And I mean, as the first caller says, it grows. You fell for lust, and then eventually, hopefully it'll blossom into love. And it's only a matter of time that it will reveal itself. And I'm hoping that, in many cases, more than less, that it is, and it will yield something positive. Denver says, yep, my belief is people should live together for 4 or 5 years in order to know each other. That's important. That's important, Denver, because if you're accustomed to living by yourself, Denver, for donkey years, and you've gotten a certain stance, it's hard. Even if emotionally you are attracted to someone, you decide you're going to try it out to be together as a couple. You may see some habits in that partner that either turn a blind eye, or you have to decide whether or not this is something that I can put up with. So yeah, some people would agree with you there, Denver. I must say that. Yeah, exactly. But believe people should live together for 4 to 5 years to get to know each other. Yeah, I agree with you. And what did you say to those persons who are, nope, not before you're married? Not before you're married, and that's more than that's fornication. But I can remember the caller asking a question about using the analogy of a car. You could buy a car without test driving it. Yeah, I said that. that is just one element, but that can be encompassed into the whole picture of living together and all that sort of stuff. It's different if you take a weekend rendezvous or you go and do a staycation. That's not living together. That's not living together. I see exactly where Denver is going with that, because certain things, practices, and behavior, of course, you're going to be on your best behavior when you're dating. And then all of a sudden you see those comfort and complacency set in. And then you see little things coming up that just may irk you as a wife or may irk him as a husband or the male partner. And I think, again, it goes back to communication and respecting that if you make the decision to commit and live together, that both two separate individuals are coming together now to share one space. And communication at the end of the day will always be key. See, it says, to all men of the world, do not get married unless there is a prenuptial agreement. If she doesn't sign that prenuptial agreement, do not get married. Oh, really? So you're making that big declaration. You're something else. Oh my God, I just love you guys. It is an option. It is an option. I stand to be corrected, but I don't think it works here. I don't think it works here. You can have an understanding, but there's just certain, under our current marriage laws and the judiciary, I stand to be corrected. It doesn't really work here. And to be honest, with any agreement, nothing is bulletproof. Anything can be challenged. I am aware of a few cases, because I do have persons who engage with me, that they felt that they were, and this came up in a conversation with sham marriage or marriage of convenience, where one in their middle age, retired, finished their house and everything. It does work here. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. I got confirmation that prenuptials agree that they do work here. Thank you for that. But what had happened with this very mature female who had chosen their life and fell for a partner who came into their life and now got married, got through with their papers, and now living a life of misery, and they're threatening to come for half of their property. Yeah. Yeah. And it's literally has scared the bejeebers out of this individual, because what has been revealed to the individual, and there are a number of cases like this, and it's scaring a lot of mature men and women, to be honest, into committing. And it goes right back to what the earlier caller was saying. Now, if this commenter is saying that prenuptial agreement does work here, maybe that needs to be told to other people who may have found themselves into having established businesses, have probably owned their own properties, and anything acquired prior to the marriage is protected. We need to probably educate a lot of our mature, retired persons who have fallen in love and got married or getting married in their later years, so that if there is an ulterior motive of the person that they are marrying to comes to head after the marriage, that all of what they have worked for, their retirement, including their pension, is not up for grabs. So, yeah. And again, see, yes, I said that. Well, then their prenuptial agreement is not bulletproof. Yeah, anything can be challenged. And this is why you have to go into litigation, which goes back to one of the questions that came in on WhatsApp. Should governments come out of marriage? At what point do you litigate these things? But if anything can be challenged, it all depends on the perspective. And that's what the legal system is there for. So that we will need an expert on, to be honest with you, from a legal perspective, from a human rights perspective, from the marriage side of things, because it is a risk, but we don't want to scare people either. People take risks every day. And I feel that everybody who falls, whether it's on lust or you are one who have found your soulmate, your partner, and love at first sight, and that does become a reality. Some people are just connected and they will never be together, but there is a connection. For whatever reason, they will never be partners, but they have a sync. They are connected in so many ways that committing would possibly ruin that relationship. But there are some who are fortunate enough to have found that partner that it works. And I congratulate those persons for finding their soulmate, for finding that right person, and they're making it work. So we can see it from all sides here. And I hope that persons were able to understand and see it from the perspectives of all today of what I'm trying to actually deliver here, and not just being one side. But I feel a little bit more grace needs to be given to our male counterparts when it comes to emotions, love, and expectations as well. I got a WhatsApp. The proper way to do it is for each person to get separate legal advice on the draft document. Okay, makes sense. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. This is good. So again, we realized that prenups are something that are recognized, and both parties get separate legal advice. And I guess you come together, hoping that it's sad that we actually have to do this. But like what I said, we take risk every day. And one of the biggest risks we take sometimes is our heart. One of the biggest risks we take is with our heart. And yet we still do it. We still do it. And that's why in all things, put God first. Andrew, if I have to put a prenuptial getting married, sorry, that marriage not going to work. It not based on love. Remember Anna Nicole Smith and the 89-year-old billionaire. True. Oh, Christ. Blind Bartimaeus could have seen that one. Sorry. My opinion. Oops, that I don't normally share. Put the house in your mother's name. Okay. Before. And let's hope she's single. And let's hope the other siblings don't come for it. But yeah, I get your point, Tartarian. The heart is the greatest deceiver above all. Well, there you have it. We have come to another end of Sabrina Speaks, another episode. Yes, we have brought it to an end. And I want to thank you for all of you who joined in, who participated, who called, who shared your comments here. And please, we love having you, and your participation is see, I told you. Andrew agrees. Oh yeah, that some of them you can see it. Andrew, some of them you can see that a mile away. And Don will agree. We saw a number of them our days of immigration that we were just like counting down 10, 9, 8, and like clockwork. It was pretty sad. But yeah, in our days, trust me, you could see it. But yes, that brings me to an end of Sabrina Speaks, this episode, and it has been enlightening. I hope that you learned something. I hope that we were able to share different perspectives as to whatever love means to you. But, you know, before I leave you tonight, I really hope that at the end of the day, whatever you perspective or vantage point you take this Saturday, it's really not just about couples. We need to look at each other and just look at love for what it is. And it should be, and I agree with you guys, it shouldn't just be only on one day. But that aside, it is acknowledged. It is there. It's about connections. And it's also about care, respect, and choosing love any day of the week, all the time. Not just for others, but also for yourself. Self-love is the greatest gift. So whether this weekend brings you definitely joy, healing, or just another day, because you do it all the time. You just got it in the box. You got it. Remember one thing, you're all worthy. You're all loved as well. And guess what? As empty as it may feel sometimes, You are not alone. So let's enter this week and end this episode of Sabrina. It has been my pleasure. Sabrina Speaks. It has been my pleasure bringing you this episode and keeping it locked with you. Thanks for all the love, Denver. We got find you a wife yet, right here. 2 on it. We got one from Kim and Brack, and we got you too. Yes. We got find on our wife for the end of 26. One in the Brack too. So yes, it has been great bringing you this episode again. Show your coworker, neighbor, garbage man gratitude. Oh yeah, yes, and the grocer, garbage man gratitude this Saturday and every day moving forward. Let this be that opportunity to make a change and just show love. It has been a wonderful time. Love you lots. Take care. God bless. Until tomorrow, it's open mic. And it's your platform tomorrow, always yours, but definitely the mic is turning in your direction. See you tomorrow. Good night. God bless.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio, where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, Cayman, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.